some people experience this urge towards consciousness, and once again, it's a compulsion. It's an ecstatic compulsion. I must become more conscious. One's conscience becomes pricked by something, and there's a sense that I have to go deeper. I have to get more in touch with self and life. Now, some people are extremely driven. There are rare individuals in relationship to in relationship to the spiritual dimension of all this that go crazy for this thing, and they're very uncommon. But there are some people that they're not going to back down. They're not going to give up until whatever this mysterious thing called enlightenment catches up with them. But the point I'm trying to make here is that there is a non-difference between the energy and intelligence that caused something to come from nothing, right? That caused this big bang to happen that we are all products of. That's driving this, the energy and intelligence that initiated the Big Bang, that initiated the first cause, that's created the universe, is the same energy and the same intelligence that human beings experience first at the lowest levels of sexual impulse, at a much higher level as this drive to innovate and create that which is new. That's of the evolutionary impulse. And the highest and most profound expression of the evolutionary impulse is the urge towards consciousness itself. Or, and the urge towards consciousness is the experience. I have to become more conscious. Okay? And so when you begin to realize, when you recognize that the evolutionary impulse that I'm speaking about is one with the first cause, is the same energy and intelligence that initiated the creative process. When you awaken to that and become aware of it, you become a completely different kind of human being. Because now you're someone who is deeply turned on by life. Because once again, you're awake to that ecstatic compulsion, that energy and drive that's been behind this whole event. And that's what's driving you right now. And in the new enlightenment, as I teach you, in the evolutionary enlightenment, it's that energy and that intelligence and the passion behind it is what displaces the ego. The ego, of course, has been the perennial obstacle to higher spiritual development, and it's become all that more difficult for us. And when I say us, I'm talking about all of us children of postmodernity, because we have the biggest egos that have ever been created yet. Did you know that? Well, yeah, because the point is, if you go back even 50 years, people weren't as self-centered, as narcissistic as we are, were they? No, they weren't. But culture has changed. I mean, with the Cultural Revolution that happened in the 60s, we were brought up to be narcissists. It's not our fault. I'm not blaming anybody. I know I'm a trained narcissist. I was been culturally conditioned to be a narcissist, and most of us have been. And on one hand, the high degree of individuation, this highly individuated self-structure that we have makes us very powerful people, but it makes us also the extreme narcissism that is a product of postmodern culture makes it very difficult for us to break through to the other side in the way that I'm speaking about. The narcissism now it's kind of a cultural epidemic. It's not a personal problem. It's not a personal psychological problem like a lot of people used to think narcissism was a personal psychological problem. Man, it's a cultural problem these days. And so, getting back to what I was saying earlier, the new enlightenment is about awakening. Is about awakening to this evolutionary impulse that will enable us to find a completely different energy and a completely different passion to live the life that we're living right now, to be the kind of person that we are. Because the question is, if we want to look at the body and the mind, we want to look at it as a vehicle, because it's a vehicle for what? It's a vehicle for consciousness. Your body and your mind is a vehicle for consciousness, a vehicle for interiority, or a vehicle for consciousness, isn't it? Because they're working on creating these android robots, but they don't know how, you see, to make these things appear, to have sentience or interiority. They don't know how to do it. Because it is something to exist, isn't it? What is the ultimate mystery about being yourself? It's the experience of consciousness. It's the ultimate mystery. It's a mystery that science hasn't been able to crack yet. So So when we begin to make this connection, you see, and this is very important for the postmodern stuff, that when you make a connection, you realize, oh, that the universe has been working for 14 billion years to make it possible for this experience to occur. The experience of, in other words, the experience of being you. Now, not of, you at your best, right? There are moments, there are moments when we are really at our best. So when we're at our best, our consciousness is quite expanded, isn't it? And we, as I said, we literally become, there's this sense of being one with the whole process. And within that, there's an experience of overwhelming liberation from being trapped within the confines of the ego, of course. But more importantly, there's a sense of great care and a sense of the preciousness of life and the preciousness of consciousness and the preciousness of even the capacity for cognition, that it could all occur.